Hannah, you're welcome to our show this morning.
Thank you so much
Well,
for
it's
having
noon
me
now,
on.
actually. We've just crossed to the noon.
Yeah,
So welcome
almost
to the
there.
show. So I am so glad to see you beaming with smile. I thought I'm going to see someone that is weak and unhappy and just bothered. So you seem to have come through a lot and you feel a bit more comfortable and happy now. Am I correct,
Well,
Hina?
well, the very clear-cut
You want
answer to
to?
that.
Yeah.
Am I audible clear enough?
Yeah, you can
Okay.
increase your volume enough. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Right, so the reason why you will always find me smiling is because nothing affects me. I have been able to, over the years, take control of my internal narrative as well as my internal representation. And the association of pain and hurt and grief and remorse is just a mindset, you know. So if your internal narrative is that, it's a learning curve, what did you really learn from there? And then whilst applying that learning, how do you intend to change your desired outcome? Then that's what matters. That's what helps you overcome your grief, quicker and in a better way. So you'll always find me smiling. Yes, I've been through a lot. That was a huge part of my life, a very tedious, very difficult journey. But then, as they always say, that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So, being people of faith, I've always followed my intuition, and my intuition used to always tell me to focus on the bigger picture, and there's something better awaiting out there. So I've always been in the gist of, following my intuitions, waiting for that light at the end of the tunnel, which is prevalent in my life now that I am a proud and thriving survivor. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Hannah. And you've been very positive and you've just brought a glow to the house this morning. And I'm so happy that we have you on our show this morning. Veronica, do you have something to check up with
Good afternoon. Yeah. Good afternoon. Lovely to see you.
Oh, my beautiful sister.
Likewise. The feeling is mutual. So, Hina, thank you very much for joining us today. A very brave soul that's going to be sharing with us listeners on 97.1 FM today. And Hina, can you just take us through your story, your journey, and what you endured, how it started, and take a break when you need to. You might want to ask you questions as well. So please start when you're ready. Thank you.
Okay, all right then. So, well, I was at the age of 19 when I had been married to a lifestyle, if you like, and the title of that lifestyle was essentially a feudal system that people enjoy back in Pakistan. And, according to them, again, to me, it's a mindset. To them, it's more of a lifestyle in which they are allowed to enjoy infidelity and drug abuse, sexual harassment, physical violence, emotional violence, financial violence, all sorts of, violence and abuse that you can think of. That's a lifestyle to them, and I was married to that lifestyle. Little had I known how to process all of this, because it was just happening everything at the same point in time, and I was too naive. I mean, you can imagine at the age of 19 and coming from a background where I had never even heard the word violence ever before. I had been brought up in a very safe and secure environment with my parents. They were full-time working people. However, they preferred quality time as an investment in children over quantity time. And their parenting was never avoidant or dismissive, which then means that we were, raised up in a very curious, flexible environment where we were allowed to be just children, just explore and thrive and get to know who you are and let your curiosity flow and develop your skills and grow. And eventually, when you've, developed all those skills, you get to know who you are, you get to know about your strengths and your passions. Then comes the second step, which is getting married and getting settled. Now, these are two things which again is an understanding coming from an Asian culture that once when you get married, you get settled. However, that may not be the case. That's just a little prayer that your parents give you when they marry you, that now that you're going to get married, you'll be settled. But majority of the times, that's not the case. Reason being, because the culture that I come from is highly patriarchal, and words like male chauvinism, infidelity, control, power are like a feather in the cap for men. So that's something that they're familiar with, and they don't think there's anything wrong in exerting any of these states, if you like, that I mentioned earlier on. So long story short, very naive at the age of 19, had been married into this kind of a lifestyle and didn't know what to do. Yeah.
So was it arranged marriage?
It was a completely arranged marriage, yes. And we had known the family, through our ancestors' times. You can say that this was like a family friendship that had grown over years and eventually converted into a family relationship between myself and my ex-husband. So then my parents thought pretty much that we know the family, they're nice people, and our daughter is going to get settled. She'll enjoy financial freedom because they were like wealthy, and the guy settled. He doesn't need to work. He's got, his own properties and lands and whatnot. So they're self-sufficient. So that's what we had seen from taking a balcony view, knowing them, as friends for more than, 2 or 3 decades, as I'm talking about our ancestors' times. But then the minute that friendship turned into a relationship and became family, that's when you start seeing the nitty-gritties of things, the pain points, the reality. So people are day in and day out wearing different kinds of masks. The mask that they want other people to see, that's what they wear. But it's only when you become a part and parcel of their system that you realize that, the reality is something different. The novelty wore off, in a couple of days of me being married to the person. So the first incident that I can quote here is that late in the evening, I needed to use the toilet and I was struggling. I was scared as well. It was a huge bedroom, all pitch dark. Growing older, we used to see these, what would I say, horrific Indian movies. And I used to always get scared getting down from my bed, putting my foot down, dark in the night, pitch dark. Somebody's going to come and grab my foot, So that has just, it's still there. It stayed with me, So these are the influences that you're exposed to growing older. That's why they say it's very important, when we nudge our children away thinking that they don't understand, they're too young for it. That's completely wrong. From 0 till the age of 6 is the prime time for children because they absorb every information like a sponge. Yeah. And then that's what influences their belief system. So anyway, me growing older, watching these horrific movies, very scared to, step down out of my bed, go to the toilet. So I started looking for my ex, so I could wake him up and just request him to turn the light on because I needed to use the toilet. And I realized there was nobody on the bed. So there's nobody in the room. I, called out for him a couple of times, but he was nowhere to be found. So now I'm thinking, oh Allah, what am I going to do now? Well, I need the toilet. I need to get down as well. I need to turn that light on as well. So let's just do it. Did whatever was required, got over and done. And then now I'm pondering, sitting on the sofa, looking everywhere around in the room. It's a, probably 3rd day of my marriage. And where's my husband? Without informing, where is he gone? Little had I known, when I pick up that telephone line to dial the number, back in those days, mobiles weren't very common. They used to be mostly landlines to be used. So as soon as I picked up that telephone line, he was sitting downstairs in the living room and all the lines were connected. So as soon as I picked up the phone, I could hear him speaking with somebody else, another woman on the line. And what I heard over wasn't anything pleasing for a newly wedded couple. And it doesn't matter whether you're newly wedded or you've been married for decades. Infidelity, insincerity at the end of, at the end of the day is insincerity. It would hurt you no matter how many times it happens over and over again. The feeling of hurt for a woman to share her husband with another woman or multiple other women is the same feeling, right? So this is my third night that I've been married, and this is what I get to hear. I just couldn't believe my fate. Just couldn't believe my fate. I just sunk into my sofa. I was so scared that, what kind of people have I fallen trapped to? Clearly, this is a big trap because my parents couldn't see it. Should I let my husband know that I've heard him speaking on the phone? Should I talk to him about it? Should I be silent? Should I inform my parents? These were the kind of things that were going through my mind. And I decided that, I can't jump the gun too quick. I have to inform my parents. I'm not going to let nobody know what I saw, what I heard. So I just, got back into my bed and snuggled and pretended as though I never woke up. And then obviously when I shut the phone, he could hear somebody had picked up the line and then, dropped it back. So he came upstairs to check whether it was me. And I just pretended I'd never got up, and I don't know. I never heard nothing. So then after a while, he turned the light off and showed I was asleep, and he went back to doing what he was doing. So that's from where it all started.